behalf of all of us, my name is Beasley saying so long and good night. Please drive safely tonight. Right now, Brendan Parker and Cory Sarich standing by with tonight's Ram post-game show, brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers.
Winning Motor Trend Truck of the Year 3 times in a row? That had never been done before. Then again, neither had a 12-inch touchscreen or 1,000 pound-feet of torque. Never been done before. It's just kind of our thing.
All right, Flames Postgame Live brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers. It is live and on the air. Brendan Parker alongside Cory Sarich, and a loss for the first time in quite some time here for the Calgary Flames on home ice. Had the 11-game win streak coming into tonight. Tonight, though, it falls in overtime to the Montreal Canadiens, second and final matchup of the season between these two teams in a game that was interesting in a lot of ways. Obviously, some opportunities on both sides of things, and then you think that maybe you lost one here in regulation. You find a way to get it to overtime, and then only to fall in the extra frame. What did you make of just the flow of this hockey game and the way it all plays out?
It was kind of a hot mess out there all night long for both teams. There was a lot of missed coverage on different goals. There was pucks bouncing away from players. There was just so many kind of plays that seemed to be so simple that just quickly got out of hand. And once again, it was for both teams. I think that's why the score was what it was. You know, it was 4-4 there heading into overtime. And not really the game that I think either team's looking for. Yep. I'm sure Montreal is excited about the result. The Flames will be happy with 1 point, but I don't think the Calgary Flames will be happy with their overall game. Yeah,
a little out of context in terms of what we've seen, and obviously from both teams. Montreal's played a lot better hockey here as of late. Calgary Flames are usually, so tight with their, structure and making sure that everything is coming up the ice together. But, you're going to have these games from time to time, and it's probably about trying to adjust to it as they're going on and understanding that things aren't maybe flowing the way you want them to.
Yeah, and sometimes when that happens, you got to maybe simplify even a little bit more. I think as far as puck management goes, that bit the Calgary Flames tonight. And in the third period, a couple of the Canadiens' goals were direct results of, mistakes by the Flames, maybe trying to do a little too much. So on those nights when things aren't going your way, you might have to just dial it down even more. I mean, the Calgary Flames have done a great job so far this year of managing pucks and being rock solid defensively and having structure. But just a few of the plays tonight, the structure wasn't there, and I'll blame the puck for part of it. It was bouncing every which way. So, but ultimately, it falls on the shoulders of the guys.
For sure. All right, let's take a look at what we saw here in terms of the highlights of this hockey game and run through how we get to this 5-4 result in overtime. And it goes all the way back to the first period. I think, at this point, Montreal's actually out shooting Calgary, but it would be the Flames that get on the board first. A little breakdown in coverage here, and Andrew Mangiapane is able to spot Blake Coleman backdoor wide open.
Yeah, nice vision by Mangier on this goal. But again, the two Montreal Canadiens defensemen, zero communication there. Both get kind of caught in between, and puck ends up in the net.
Yeah, and Coleman takes advantage, his 12th of the season, but they would get one back. This comes in the final 30 seconds of that first period, and Jeff Petrie just able to find a little crease there underneath the pad of Jacob Marchand.
Yeah, this one was a timely goal for the Canadiens. They were about to go into the intermission being down 1, and they come up with a timely goal just to kind of get some momentum back in their lane. They did have a lot of power play time in the first period, but were unable to capitalize.
Yeah, and the power play time would continue into the second, but not before the Calgary Flames would build a bit of a lead. Johnny Gaudreau with, we'll say, all kinds of time in front of the net. It's his 21st of the season. Maybe a little help there from Matthew Tkachuk on the stick lift, too.
Yeah, and again, a mix-up here. Defense are caught puck watching, but I don't think there's any way that Ben Sherratt should be trying to block that shot. He's just got to do what he can, distract the shooter. You can't give Johnny Gaudreau that much time.
It's a lot of space, and makes no mistake. And then how about this nice play here by Andrew Mangiapane? Look at the backhand, right up underneath the bar. Beautiful finish from Andrew Mangiapane, and short-handed.
And you'd like to critique the Canadiens defender here, but generally, in an outnumbered situation, you say, put the guy on his backhand.
Yeah.
That's just one heck of a shot by Andrew Mangiapane.
Beautiful finish, and he's got 2 points at that point, 29 goals on the season. But here's what you mentioned in the first period, a little momentum shift the other way now, and this one comes on the 5-on-3, and Nick Suzuki finds a seam.
And I think this was Montreal's 5th crack at it, if I'm correct, Brendan.
5-on-3,
and again, Darryl has stressed all year that the Flames have got to stay out of the box. They didn't accomplish that tonight. It hurt. It was maybe only a cause of 1 goal ultimately, but again, it was momentum swings. It's about not being able to roll your lines, and caused a lot of grief.
Yeah, that was the end of the second period. We go to the third, and here's the goal that would tie the hockey game. Ben Sherratt makes it 3-3. Brendan Gallagher there standing on top of the crease as well. And obviously leads to another opportunity here later on in the third period. This is kind of some of the coverages you're talking about. It's a wide open Mike Hoffman here eventually.
Yeah, it starts with a turnover. It's back to the Flames end, and then it's almost like over back checking when the players are coming into the end. You have to pick up, you have to find an assignment. You can't get distracted by the puck. And again, Flames are caught puck watching.
Kind of similar in terms of what we saw in this goal then too. I mean, it just the way that it develops, and then obviously an open shot that eventually beats Jacob Markstrom. This one was Hoffman.
You've got 5 Flames in the area there if you look right here in the slot. But again, too many looking and not enough doing. And that's costly. And the Flames have done such a great job of not doing that this year. This is just a little uncharacteristic of them tonight, but the whole night was.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the way that it kind of breaks down on this night. And then eventually you get to this situation, a 6-on-5, the goaltender's out. Shot comes in from Rasmus Andersson, and then look at the play there by Andrew Mangiapane, who had himself a night offensively.
And you've got to be excited about this one. Flames fans, Flames themselves, you've squandered a lead in the third. To find a way to get this goal and to grab and snag a point, at least the first of what you think could be potentially 2, big play.
Yeah, and obviously it doesn't work out that way, because here's the game-winning goal, and it comes on an odd man rush back the other way, and it is Ben Sherratt that would finish it off. Has himself a nice night as well, 2 goals, even has an assist on the night for a 3-point night, but nicely finished off here on the 2-on-1 with Brent Pitlick.
Yeah, just 2-on-1, very well executed, and Hoffman and Sherratt had themselves one heck of a third period, racking up a few points and helping their team get the win here in Calgary.
Yeah, and big for the Montreal Canadiens, who, as we know, that 5 wins in their last 6 coming into tonight, and just had that 5-game win streak snapped in Winnipeg, but then go right back at it here tonight. So 6 in their last 7. Obviously, Calgary Flames do earn the point, so points in 12 consecutive games here on home ice, but eventually find the loss here 5-4. Let's go to the post-game show and continue on. Here are some thoughts from our head coach, Darryl Sutter, standing by with what he saw here in this 5-4 loss.
Darryl, your thoughts on the game? It seemed like quite a sloppy one.
Yeah, it was a sloppy game. A lot of penalties, not much flow to it. Tough to get everybody involved. Tough game.
Were you upset with your team's effort in the first period, like it didn't come out storming like normal?
I think we matched what they were doing pretty good, but I just think those penalties, the 5 and 3s, I mean, really, they should be up. We're lucky to get out of both periods tied or up.
Was it a lack of discipline tonight, or just...
Those are all stick falls. Right? It reminded me of some of the stick penalties in Vancouver, actually. Every one, I think, other than, I mean, I'll give Markey that one. He's tried to, the trip, that's not on him, but the other ones are all, they're stick falls. They're penalties.
The resilience to come back and tie it in the final minute, I'm sure you're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, win the face-off, something we had trouble doing, killing penalties, quite honest. And then win the face-off, and, you got 6 pretty good guys, offensive guys out there, but at the same time, you can't take, we're lucky to get a point. Take that many penalties and top guys turn pucks over, too many goals.
The winning goal is a turnover in their
Yep.
end.
It's a turnover. You got to hang on to pucks 3 on 3. It cost us probably. I think their D scored 3 goals tonight. Sherratt had 2, and they scored 3 goals. Their defense. They're all in forwards turnovers.
Curious, you had Toffoli on there with Backlund as opposed to Mangiapane. Just a gut feel?
Man, you're supposed to go, but it's face-off, Michael. Face-off to start it. Right?
You know, like
Yeah.
with Backlund?
Yeah, it was a face-off in this corner. So you need a centerman. So Michael, once we get possession or the other way around, then Mange would have won it, yeah.
You'd go on and replace Backlund?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
What did you make
If
of
it's on the
Mangiapane-
fly, it would be those two.
What did you make of Mangiapane's game overall? He seemed like he was in a lot.
Turned the puck over too many times. Our top players did a lot.
You've had Zadorov now on the second power play unit for a few
Pardon?
shifts. You've had Zadorov recently on the power play, the second power play unit.
Because the other guy turns the puck over too many times tonight. This is a late league. This is a lately league. Not last year or next game. This is like right now, lately.
Is that the big takeaway for you tonight, just the turnovers?
Penalties, turnovers, right? Just cost you hockey games. I mean, this team is famous for that. Tried to break all that out of them. Okay.
All right, there's some thoughts from the head coach, Daryl Sutter, and obviously kind of summed it up basically what you were talking about right off the top, turnovers and penalties. I think Daryl's always said they want to be around 3 or less, and tonight it's 6, too many.
Yeah, and a few of them, just not in control of their sticks, and you have to be. And that happens from time to time. Maybe even Zadorov's got a little tangled up with the linesman, but ultimately just can't be in the box. And he seemed a little frustrated at times, but again, not the end of the world.
No, yeah, and you get the point for sure. So onward and upward, and then it's on Colorado on Saturday. But maybe let's talk about some of the other impacts. There was obviously some of those turnovers, but just guys that are trying to make a difference in this hockey game. You look at the fourth line and some of the opportunities they had, and kind of seemed like again one of those opportunities. And every time they'd come up, the puck's bouncing and it doesn't quite work out in terms of the offense. But the fourth line that we talked about the last couple of games here, back in to the picture kind of throughout this hockey game here tonight.
Yeah, they had a couple of really nice shifts in the first again, like they did in the previous games to kind of help tilt the ice. Yeah. And Brett Ritchie had a couple of chances late, one that he fired right over the net. I'm sure we're going to see that in this pack. Point blank there for Trevor Lewis. So good to see these guys buzzing and changing the momentum. There's the one I was mentioning about Brett Ritchie, but
the open look,
these guys maybe sneak one. Maybe it's a little different game, but again, I thought they were one of the most effective lines out there for the Calgary Flames and most consistent. But as Daryl said, all the penalties, kind of a sloppy, all over the place game. These guys don't see the ice enough because of that factor.
What's the and the effect when you're killing all those penalties? And maybe we can show little snippets of that. But just you get a bulk of time where you spend almost half of a period shorthanded, and obviously that's going to wear on specific guys who spend their time shorthanded. Then other guys are sitting on the bench. But just the rhythm that it takes out of the game, and then kind of the wear and tear it puts on some of your killers as well.
Yeah, the killers. I mean, they were out there for a lot in the first, and then again in the second, and that wears on you. And then again, like for your other lines that have to sit there and get cold and can't get their legs going, and you can't really get into a rhythm. And they've done such a nice job here lately of rolling 4 lines and just hemming teams in with their speed, with their attack and forecheck. And it wasn't there tonight. And you're going to have nights like that in this league. You're trying to find a way to fight through it, and they almost did. But ultimately, just the mistakes and everything were just a little too costly.
No doubt about it. And, maybe just for a second, and we'll hear from him in just a moment, but, Andrew Mangiapane, and he was just asked about it, and Daryl, mentioned more of the turnovers, I suppose. But when you look at the offensive game, you got to have an impact on that when you get those opportunities. And he's a guy that certainly over the last, 4 games now, 4 goals in 4 straight games, continues to have an impact on the hockey game when he gets an opportunity.
Yeah, and he's having a more of an impact than just on the score sheet as well. I mean, tonight it was nice to see him get a couple, get an assist, get a goal. But look at him grinding in the corner to earn these opportunities, right? Yeah. And that's what you see every night. And we saw him against Minnesota mucking it up in front of the net. So this guy is an ultimate competitor, and I just feel like at the start of the season, while he was scoring all those goals, he had maybe lost a little bit of this grit and push out of his game, and he's made a really nice adjustment here moving into the second half of the season to make sure that is at the forefront again. And I like it. You need to see it out of Mange.
Well, and it's how he got into the league too, right? I mean, when you look at the early days of Mange, he was so tenacious on pucks, and Basically how you earn that job in the first place,
Yeah.
and then the offense starts to come with it. Nice to see it come back like that.
Yeah, a little reset every now and then. It just as a player, you go throughout your career.
Sure.
You need those every now and then just to put it all back in focus.
It's a long season. It can be a long haul, and it's not always going to be an oil painting every night, right?
No, and I like the way he plays.
Yeah,
I
me too.
enjoy watching it out there.
How can you not tonight? And a couple of beautiful helpers and a goal. Andrew Mangiapane finishes with 3 points, second star. He's at the podium now, but so too is Elias Lindholm. Let's hear what they have to say about tonight's loss.
Andrew, Coach said you guys were just lucky to get a point tonight. Do you guys feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously we didn't play our best hockey there. We were, I guess, a little sloppy. It didn't come out strong, but but it was good that I guess we did get a point there.
How would you describe the way you guys played tonight?
Overall, it was a bad game from our side. I think Manji was our best player, and we left Marky out there dry, and he made some big saves. And overall, it was a bad game.
This team's been so good at puck management throughout most of the season. Like, do you just chalk this up as one of those nights, or how does a team that has that as such a strength kind of lose it on a night like tonight?
Yeah, I don't know. I think lately our at home we haven't been as even though we win games, we haven't wear teams down and stuff like that. We did a couple weeks ago, and we need to get back to that, and that's how we want to play. Wear teams down and play in the O-zone as much as possible, and right now we're turning pucks over and play too much up and down.
Elias, could you just comment on his backhand goal? Was kind of good.
No, it was outstanding today. It was really good for us, and probably got us a point today. So good game from this guy.
Can you just take us through that, I guess, last shift of the third period, the one that ultimately you make the pass and ultimately gets you guys a point tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good play by everybody on the ice, kind of all working together, and we were getting up top and getting it to the net, and I think we had a couple times there down low to finish it off there. I know Chucky had a couple chances there, and Razzie just shot it on that one, and I knew Lindy was around back door there, so I just threw it over there, and he was a nice spot, a nice soft spot, put it in for us.
I know it's tough to talk about anything individual after a loss, but there's 5 guys in the league that have 30 goals this season, and you're at 29 now. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, right? I mean, want to be one of those guys that help the team in any way possible, right? So just going out there every game, playing with good players, and just trying to work hard, play my game, and right now goals are going in for me.
Okay, all good, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
We call it the Ram 1500 Limited. But truth be told, there's nothing limited about it. Ram 1500, winner, J.D. Power Award for Best Driver Appeal.
All right, welcome back. Flames Postgame Live brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers. Just putting a wrap on the postgame show here. Brendan Parker alongside Cory Sarich. 5-4 the final score here tonight. It's an overtime loss for the Calgary Flames. They do manage to get the single point thanks to that goal by Elias Lindholm in the final 28 seconds or so. If I could do some math on the spot, put pressure on me. And you end up getting the point, which is kind of the theme is what we're talking about. But you've heard it from coach, you've heard it from the players. Nobody's trying to paint this as a game that you felt like you deserved a better fate than what you got. I mean, you kind of heard from both guys, and they kind of know that it's not up to the standard that they've come to expect here from this group.
Yeah, and it's easy to label this one.
Yeah.
And maybe it takes a little bit of the sting off the Lindholm goal that pushes this to overtime. But at the same time, you go into that third period with a lead. You want to lock that down. They've done a great job. And then even you get it to overtime and you've got an opportunity. So a couple opportunities that go by the wayside.
Yeah, and it happens. Let's talk a little bit about, just before we wrap this up, the schedule upcoming. Tonight was the start of 5 games in 7 nights. You've got, I think it's 16 games in 31 days over the course of March. A lot of it's on home ice, which is good, but there is some travel in there. I think it's 4 one-off road trips. It's just, and then of course the schedule test in terms of the opponents coming in. I mean, this is going to be a telling month for a group upcoming here this month of March.
Yeah, and especially if we focus, Brendan, on this next week upcoming. They've got Colorado, they've got Edmonton, you've got Washington. I think Ovechkin grabbed his 33rd tonight, maybe even got more than that, and they're rolling along. Tampa Bay then later in the week. Those are some hefty opponents. They're teams that obviously you see the Oilers a lot. The other opponents, maybe you don't see them as often. So it'll be a great test for the Calgary Flames. And you know, we talked about the Vancouver game kind of being a hot mess, but it was maybe a chance for them to reset, and they played very well against Minnesota. This might be kind of the same factor, right? You might be able to use this game as some fuel. Like, they were in the game, but it wasn't great, and there was a lot of things that need to be corrected, and they better correct it before the next 4 matches.
Yeah, and you got some good tests coming up, no question about it. And it starts right away with the Colorado Avalanche on Saturday, which is a team you haven't seen this year. But man, I don't know if any team's been on a better run in terms of home ice so far this season than the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, and then there's always that factor of the thin air in Denver. I don't know if it's a myth or not. It's
you've played in both, so you have a pretty good idea, right?
It's pretty thin here in Calgary, but I did spend 1 season in Denver, and I could not drink enough water just to keep up your hydration. And I know when we would leave for weeks at a time and you'd come back, it took you a while to get back into it. So I definitely think there's something to it.
Yeah, something to be said about it.
All right,
well,
home advantage.
Home air advantage, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see that at play tomorrow, or Saturday, I guess. Flames will travel to Colorado tomorrow and then get an opportunity to see the Avalanche for the first time. And we'll see them a couple of times, actually, in that barn throughout the course of the month of March. As for tonight, 5-4 the final. It is in the books in favor of the Montreal Canadiens. They get the extra point. Ben Sherratt scores a pair, picks up 3 points. Mike Hoffman in on it as well. Andrew Mangiapane 3 for the Calgary Flames. There it is. As mentioned, it's a late start in Colorado, the 8 p.m. against the Avalanche. Next home game is back here at the Saddle Dome on Monday, the first of back-to-back games back at the Scotiabank Saddle. Well, thanks for watching the Flames Postgame Live, brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers. We'll see you next Monday right back here at the Scotiabank Saddle.